Hey everyone, Alex here. You may know me. I do a lot of different reviews, research on so many different product categories and modalities. So in this video, we're going to be covering with Michael Berman of Berman Medical Lasers.com is the website also. Just like that. He has been so kind to jump on here. He's one of my favorite individuals when it comes to getting no bullshit laser information. He's been in the industry for, I don't even know, 20 plus years, also with his brother. And he was a distributor for quite some time, doing out in the field trainings and selling all kinds of brands, working with many companies. So he has a real good firsthand experience with so many different companies and even on the manufacturing level. So he's kind of my go-to resource for any sort of laser photobiomodulation questions. And then many years ago, getting into actually the manufacturing side and setting up his own laser brand. With all the knowledge, everything he's done, he said, you know what, I think I can probably do a better job and serve practitioners and my customers better. And so he actually got involved in producing his own brand once again. Yeah, thanks, Michael, for being on the little Zoom call here with me. And I would love to discuss just a couple topics that I think maybe could use a little bit of clarification because it does confuse practitioners. And I know you're all about education, 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 empowering the practitioner and just letting them make the best purchase decision based on that. So our topic today will be a couple things. It'll be multi-wavelength lasers, and we'll dive into that a little bit. And then also how that might compare and what you might need to know to just single wavelength or maybe a dual, right? And I know that you had just shared recently with me that I know in your brand Berman Medical Lasers, you have pretty much everything that everybody else has and better. So like in the case of the multi-wavelength here, I'll pop up my share screen here. You have a new laser that is a 90 total for with a 30, 30 by 30. So 3 different wavelengths, which I believe, and you can confirm, is the strongest multi-wavelength on the market based on how many diodes and how strong each of those diodes are. So I know you've already surpassed other companies, but I also want to talk about like when a practitioner might, be curious about something like that, if that might be helpful versus, going traditional, I guess you could say, and sticking with something like single. So maybe we can speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do it. Want to give a shout out. My dogs are all around me, so you might hear them.
Okay, cool.
We have a pack of shepherds. So let's talk multiple wavelengths. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wavelengths in a laser. That's all fine and good, and different wavelengths are attracted to different colors and structures of the body and penetrate different situations and fluids and the like. The problem comes in is, for lack of a better word, the power or the oomph behind that diode driving the energy into the body, bypassing all the different structures and levels and fluids to get down to the target tissue. So when it comes to multi-wavelengths, I have the 4 and the 5 wavelengths. I also have 3 wavelengths and that kind of stuff. But when you're dealing with a 15-watt diode, how much oomph does it have behind it to penetrate? You might combine 3 or 4 15-watt together and have 45 or 60 watts of power, but not any individual wavelength has got the power to really drive it down. That's why most of my clients, and I give everybody the option, you can buy a laser today, as an example, for $1. And everybody in the first 2 years has the option to say, you know what, I made a mistake. Instead of having this laser, I would rather have that laser. And if they're the same price, my deal is very simple. I ship you the new laser. You use it for a week or so. If you like it and you want to keep it, the first laser, you bear the cost. It gets shipped down to my guy, Larry, authorized repair guy. He will check it out, put a condition report on it, correct any problems, Any damage, you're responsible for it, and you're responsible for Larry to ship it back to me. And we just continue on our way. I have no problem with that. Now, let's talk about if you buy a single wavelength and want to go the opposite way into multiple wavelengths, same scenario. No one's ever trapped with us. We offer 100% money back for the first 30 days, 50 cents on the dollar for the next 6 months, and 100% of your money invested in a laser towards a bigger, better laser for the next 24 months. No one should ever be pigeonholed into a situation.
And I believe, I mean, I've looked at every freaking company out there over many years, but I believe you're the only one that even offers those policies. So yeah, normally when it's very easy for a practitioner to kind of get stuck with something that they're not satisfied with. I've seen that time and time again. Let's back up a second to multi-wavelength here too. So is there really kind of like ever a situation, a reason as like as a clinic or a practitioner that they would need, where having like multiple wavelengths is going to be more beneficial than,
So on a musculoskeletal situation, people say 810, people say 980. Well, in the United States, any average laser, which is usually under about $75,000, let's call it, their diodes are manufactured with a plus or minus 10. So if someone tells you they got the greatest wavelengths in sliced bread, well, to be perfectly candid, they're full of shit. Because an 810 can be an 800 or it can be an 820. A 980 can be a 970 or 990. So that's a sales guy hyping bullshit that he doesn't really know and hasn't done his homework. So with that being said, the therapeutic range is between 800 and roughly 1200. So any diode in that range will have a therapeutic event. Will one delve deeper into the body than another? Well, theoretically, yes. But then you have to take into consideration the Fitzpatrick scale, the weight of the person, the shape of the person, the autoimmune of the person, the average age of the person, and the way they carry themselves and what they do. So, on a theoretical basis, yes. On a practical basis, not so much. But then again, I could be wrong. But I've done thousands upon thousands upon thousands of treatments, have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lasers out there in the market. And most of my doctors come back and tell me this, exactly what I just said to you.
Right.
I have doctors that bought 3 and 4 wavelength diodes, and they finally said, fuck it. I want the single wavelength, more power, drives deeper, my patients get a better result. Yes. Here's the rub. When it comes to, say, traumatic brain injuries, and in certain situations, you want a specific wavelength, but you can't have too much power going into the brain,
right,
or else you'll cause damage. And there's certain wavelengths that certain doctors like. I'm building a 90 watt wavelength for somebody, 30 watts 808, 30 watts 980, 30 watts 1064. That's what they wanted. That's what they're getting. It's okay.
Right.
It all works. In my neck of the woods, there's an ice cream place called Baskin Robbins, and they have 31 flavors of ice cream.
Yep.
That's for a reason.
Yep.
You might like strawberry. I might like vanilla. We carry it all.
That's well said. I love that. Yeah, so it really just sounds like, honestly, one of the most important specs to really pay attention to, especially if you have like a lot of situations like you talked about. You have different sorts of patients or clients, different attributes, all kinds of different cases that could walk through your door, so to say. It would be, I think, ultimately wisest to just have more power on hand, essentially.
Right. You don't have to use all the power.
Right.
But you have the ability to go up to the power. I would always want to grow into something instead of growing out of something. So for those doctors that currently have a laser, whatever it might be, and you want to get into more power, I'll gladly buy your laser from you. The price that you paid is a raised price, I can only offer you so much towards your laser, but I'll gladly give you so much money for your laser and take it off your hands. As a matter of fact, I did one. I'm Berman Medical. I took a diode and trade a couple of months ago. I went down to Larry, got checked out. It came back still in the box. I had a doctor reach out to me today, and he wants to purchase it. So he can purchase it. I actually think it's 15 watts for $6,500. I just want the money that I paid for the laser from the doctor that I bought it from. I'm not looking to make a profit, but there's always the doctors that need a lower end laser to make their business go. They only have so much money. We'll gladly offer that out. We don't want to make a profit off of everything. And we give everybody multiple hand pieces. And the first hand piece that you break, well, that's on me. And we also give you all your marketing and your brochures, your letters to surrounding doctors. We believe in multiple training sessions.
That's super fair. I love that. And then my other question would be then, I guess ultimately, I think you have a unique way of also approaching the situation from the standpoint of like kind of just what you said. Some practitioners, this is their first foray into laser therapy. They want to start with something that's lower power. Maybe it's a budget thing, whatever it is, right? So let's say they start with something 20 watt or even 30 or whatever.
And I know exactly where you're going. So let
Yeah.
me say it to you this way. All of our lasers come with larger diodes. So when I talk to someone and they go, well, I'm not sure what I need, I always explain to them, listen, you should walk before you run so you don't get screwed. So if you're interested in a laser and they say, oh, I want 50 watts or 60 watts, I go, you're not ready for that yet. Because if you never use 30 watts, how do you know? So what I typically do is say, listen, acquire the laser at 30 watts of power. I'll send it to you as a 60-watt laser. You use it for a couple of weeks at 30 watts. You use it for a couple of weeks at higher power. I'll ring you up, of course, throughout that period and help you train through it. And at the end of the period, which is usually 30 or 45 days, I would say to you, so doctor, do you want to keep it at 30 watts? We'll put a code in right now and we'll lock it there. Or do you want to keep it at 60 watts? If it's at 60 watts and you bought it at 30-watt price, I wouldn't ask you to give me the full 60-watt price. Somewhere in the middle is what I would ask you, depending upon which hand pieces you got, where I shipped it, what I got to do. You'll just automatically get a discount. What's good for you is good for me. And we want the same thing for our patients is positive, sustained outcomes. If we're not getting it, we're failing. Lasers provide positive, sustained outcomes if the technician and the doctor are properly trained in how to actually apply the energy to the body.
That is so cool. So yeah, because normally how it works is, at least in other companies I've looked, or forever and ever it seems, that if you ever, let's say you had a 15 or whatever, if as a practitioner, and you're one fine day, like, got to use something much, much stronger, were impressed by it, normally you'd have to buy a whole new laser. Basically, now you got two lasers. The old one collects dust or whatever. I don't know what you're going to do with that. But yeah, it's expensive from the standpoint you have to buy a whole new laser, and then of course you have that extra. You may or may not use it. It's just almost like a waste. It's sitting there. So that's really innovative. So that basically the manufacturer that you're working with, they have like an ability essentially to unlock
Well,
more power.
I buy larger diodes and I electronically set them to either 30 watts, 45 watts, or 60 watts. I can technically take my 70-watt diode and make it into a 10-watt laser, but I'll lose because the cost factor of the diode, 70 watts, dialed down to 10 watts. It's not practical. I take my 35-watt diode and then I turn it down to a 10-watt, not my 70-watt diode.
I love this too. So it's like there's almost like a lower cost financial route for practitioners to have a firsthand experience with whatever power they chose, and then say, okay, these are the outcomes I'm getting. but there's almost like a path also where they can at least like try out something
Right.
much stronger, and then see almost the contrast essentially
Right.
what they,
How
you
would you know what works for you unless you actually got to try it? And I'm all about that because what I don't want is a disgruntled, upset, annoyed, pissed off doctor.
know, yeah,
That's the worst thing can happen to me.
right.
In 15 years of business, I have only had to refund one doctor. And it was at the 9-month mark, not at the 7-month mark, which you get. I gave him back half of his money. And when the laser arrived at Larry, it was used for less than an hour. I trained for just under an hour. In other words, he just never turned it on. That's just what happened. And that is the one and only one that's ever happened to. As another example, there's a doctor out on Oahu who you turned me on to, Alex. His laser got a power surge because it's Oahu and had a problem. It cost me $775 to ship him a loaner laser, $775 to ship his laser to Larry, $775 to ship his own laser back to him, and $775 to ship my loaner back to me.
Oh my God.
And that's business.
Yeah. Well,
And that's what
I'm not
we do.
surprised you did that. I mean, only you in the industry would do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And guess what? That doctor, hold on a second. I believe, hold on one second. Yeah, he's got one payment left and he owns his laser. Because we'll hold a note. A third down, whatever's left over, divided by however many months, up to 36. No interest, no fees, no nothing. I just ask you to send me a check once a month, or an ACH or a wire, however it is that you want.
Yeah, that's a cool deal. I like that a lot. Yeah, because I know a lot of people, they finance things going way out, and then you end up paying a lot more
Right.
for that. Yeah.
I want nothing.
And the
If
keys
you
are
bought it
high.
for not,
Yeah.
if you bought it for $9, you put down 3. That means you owe 6. Divided by 24, 36 months. That's your monthly payment.
Fair. Now I did notice a unique policy on your website. Also, I didn't see other companies doing. But if somebody's like totally brand new to lasers, or maybe just brand new to having a laser that's like significantly stronger than things they've tried in the past, um, is there I know some people like may not just feel totally ready to just jump in and buy something. um I saw there was like some policy where somebody can still like kind of try out a laser. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we agree with that. Um, and we start off a loan laser policy with people. We've learned some pitfalls from it, from some of the doctors. So our basic idea is this: I'm happy to loan you a laser. You're going to sign a loaner laser agreement, which means that I still own the laser. You can borrow the laser for X period of time, and you're going to do X, Y, and Z with it. But when you're done, and if you do not want it, you are responsible and bear all costs of the laser being shipped from you to Larry, the repair guy, who will do a condition report on it, correct any problems, and then he'll ship it back to me. You, as the doctor borrowing the laser, bear all those costs, which is fair. I get back a used laser, you got the trial laser, and all it cost you, if you didn't damage it, was shipping and probably about $175 for Larry's time. And that's it.
Cool, cool.
Very simple.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, so that's cool. And then that would imagine, I would imagine that because you have that as an option, you would then also have potentially like some used lasers
Yes.
from those sorts of situations as well.
Right. So if I ship the laser, which usually is a brand new laser, to a doctor to loan it, if it comes back to Larry and comes back to me, it is no longer a new laser. It is no longer a demo laser. It is categorized as a used laser. Therefore, it's in perfect working order, but it can't be full retail price because it's not brand new.
Got it. That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering, yeah, like where some of like your used options come from. So that's one source there. And I would imagine too, the other source is when like one of your practitioners want to upgrade their laser
Exactly.
like that.
That's what that diode laser, which I used to work with diode. I sold the doctor the laser. They bought a bigger laser. I have that laser. Larry checked it out. Now a doctor is purchasing it today for $6,500 for a 15-watt laser.
Got it. That's so cool. I love that. It's so interesting. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that people can or practitioners can really get involved in laser therapy in a way that with you that is like just really hedging
Fair.
against financial risk, I guess would be one way to say it.
It's
You know,
fair. We believe in being fair.
yeah. Yeah.
Fair and honest and upfront and candid. I am from Jersey. I do talk fast. I cuss. I bitch. I complain. I will tell you to bang off as quick as look at you, but I don't bullshit.
Cool, man. That's why I love you, and I find you're probably one of the few people I can trust in this industry at this point, just because I've seen like how you treat like clients and things like that, and you're a man of your word, you're in integrity, and that's a big piece of it.
Right.
And then the fact is too, like the biggest challenge I see with practitioners just trying to get their feet wet and learn from what they read out there is they talk to many different companies, they talk to different sales reps, things like that, and ultimately, a lot of those people have a lot of bias
Yes.
from the standpoint that they have one job to do, which is pretty much focus on their one brand, and they don't have the background that you have. That's why I kind of have always listened to you a little more closely again, because like again, as you said, you've been out there with thousands of hours, who knows, right? At this point, dealing with every one of like the most respectable brands, anyways, that are out there firsthand with practitioners. And like you talk to your average sales rep out there, and like they wouldn't even have a fraction of that
No.
experience. Their
And
job
they,
is to sell you whatever they're supposed to sell you, you know?
well, I've been told by many doctors, and it's a compliment to me that you don't want me to buy a 60-watt laser. You want me to buy the 30-watt. Yes, doctor, because all it takes is a button or two to make it into a 60-watt laser. Why should you pay me the 60-watt price when you're unsure of what you need? I don't earn a commission. I don't make my living off of a commission. I have salespeople that make commission. I don't earn commission. So if you deal directly with me, I earn my money by how many units I move, not by how much profits on each unit.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I love that. Yeah. I deal with many industries, many product categories, and honestly, like best people I meet, best products are those who are not driven by money. You know what I mean? We all need to be profitable, obviously, in our businesses, but like, they know that that's not why they're in it. That's not what they're about. It's about helping people first, and everything else will just, fall along with that, right? In terms of being
It
profitable and successful.
Karma goes a long way in this industry. And if you do right in the beginning, it will follow you. And I do not disparage my competition, but in the last 6 months, I probably replaced about 4 lasers from my competitors because they weren't repairing them, or they were telling them it does this or does that, and it doesn't do it. And they were screwing them over, and I just fixed the problem.
Yeah, I've encountered those situations as well. Well, I appreciate you jumping on today. This was awesome. Maybe we can circle back for a different topic in the future.
Anytime, and anyone can call at any time. Provide my number. I'll
Awesome.
always answer the phone.
Will do, my friend. All right. This is a great conversation.
Have a great one.
Appreciate your
Enjoy.
time. Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Okay, bye.